Hello and welcome to another episode of a Kongcast, podcast about cloud, connectivity, and Kong. My name is Victor Gamov and I will be your host today. And today I'm extremely excited to have my friend Danica Fine from Confluent as a guest.
Yeah.
Danica, welcome to Kongcast.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. Finally be on your podcast.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this because I know you're busy. Today we are at the Nexus conference, which is happening in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And what was your talk about today?
Okay. So it is called Practical Pipelines. Practical Cloud Pipelines is built entirely within Confluent Cloud. And it's a hardware hack. So I have a lot of house plants, and I wanted to build something to monitor my plants and see if I can do it completely with Confluent Cloud.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so it was a really cool project. It was my first hardware project, and it works. I get notifications on my phone now when my plants need to be watered. So I was excited to come and tell everyone about it.
Tell me a little bit about your demo. Like what part of the Kafka you're using there? Like what part you build the hardware yourself, or like maybe the shop around in the nearest like a micro store. How we call it? Like a micro. The store where you buy a computer retail.
Okay.
You can buy everything in Amazon right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think I used Adafruit for everything. I bought everything from there. But I got a Raspberry Pi 4 8 gig, completely overkill for the project, right? But it was the only one I could get because
Did it run Kafka there though?
It has a producer running there,
Okay.
It was enough to do that, but still definitely overkill. But it was the only one I could get because it's so tough to get Raspberry Pis now.
Right,
Like the supply chain issues are insane.
Yeah.
So I started off with that Raspberry Pi, got it going. I had to build a Kafka from source. It wasn't really working right.
Producer or stuff like that?
Like I had to get Liberty Kafka and start from that and build everything up. And then I had the Confluent Kafka Python library as well. So that was just the basic side of the Raspberry Pi. And then I got these like capacitive I2C moisture sensors, which are pretty cool. Had to do a lot of soldering. Nice. I really like doing that.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of fun to build
Every
things.
time you do stuff with hardware, like it feels like you're doing something real. Like something I'm thinking when I'm
Exactly.
I build an app and deploy this in the cloud. But is it like a real thing? But when you do hardware.
And that was the angle that I was kind of going into this. I'm newly a developer advocate, right? Prior to this role, I was building. Thank you. It's a great role to be in.
Exactly.
But prior to this role, I was building Kafka streaming pipelines. But that's easier when you do it for work, right? You're kind of told what to build. You know the overall goal. But I feel like when I was learning Kafka, I wanted to. I was looking for like real examples online to learn how to do it, right? And exactly, there's that plug. But the thing that I really like is having a practical use case. Like you see a lot of pipelines online, a lot of examples, and they're very toy use cases, and it's like, oh, is that something that does that motivate me to learn this technology, right? So I figured that like doing something hardware based and getting your hands dirty, it's a good way to motivate people to learn something. Because I feel like then other people can jump in and like alter it, for their own sort of hardware hack and still use Kafka. So yeah.
So question to you. So you said you're going to be using you used Liberty Kafka, which is the implementation of Kafka in C that will be used by your Python script. Why you opt out from the concept of like a REST proxy? Like why you need to like deal with the native client versus just using something like event gateway, like a REST proxy?
Yeah, so I wanted to go back to sort of basics with the like leaning into the Raspberry Pi sort of things, and I feel like a lot of these hardware projects, it's when you feed information into Kafka like that, you just use a basic Kafka producer. And a lot of the examples I'd seen online were leveraging it as well. Like I didn't want to reinvent the wheel here, right? Yeah. So I did see some examples that were using different technologies, but when I saw that, I saw some example scripts that were like, okay, let's just use the basic Kafka producer.
Yeah.
Don't overdo it, right? Because I wanted to focus on the actual application that I was building more so than I did enough work building out the hardware.
That, I was doing when I was in professional services in the situations where either like a mainframe situation, you can find the version of curl for the mainframe, but you can find like Liberty Kafka. But probably right now there is one. I don't know. But you need to. It's much easier to bring your events into Kafka through some sort of like a REST API. So that's something that I started seeing a lot, and I started having some conversation how like people can use Kong for. I don't want to like plug it here, but like we also have like pretty cool integration with Kafka. And actually, I did the demo with the Kong runs in my Kubernetes cluster. The control plane that sends configuration to Kong runs in the cloud in a Kong Connect, and I'm using Confluent Cloud to send all the events that come into Kong. So we're hitting particular like routes, and all the events are coming to Confluent Cloud.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
kind of also like a cloud native or like a cloud serverless platform, except I have to deploy my like data plane manually.
Yeah, serverless. That's a buzzword.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you doing in this space? Like, maybe you and your colleagues like have something interesting in a because I know the serverless is extremely difficult when you're dealing with these stateful workloads and the stuff when you're doing with technologies like Kafka Streams, where you do sort of aggregations and serve this information to whatever consumer would be interested in aggregating information, especially in the serverless world.
Yeah.
Function or like a stateless, it's easy.
Yes.
Because there's no state. Don't need to store it. Like how would you recommend for people to deal with this type of stuff when they're building stateful serverless applications?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my answer to you, as we're saying, completely cloud native. It is ksqlDB run through Confluent Cloud. So ksqlDB is the SQL wrapper on Kafka Streams, and once you have a Confluent Cloud account, you can utilize ksqlDB completely within the cloud. You don't have to run anything else outside of it, which is wonderful. But it is great at stateful operations because that's what Kafka Streams is great at, right? That is what that's how we conduct stateful transformations in Kafka, right?
Yeah.
So ksqlDB is the answer to that. But as you said, like there's a lot of other products that handle the stateless aspect of that. And I think what a really cool demo was like, ksqlDB excels at the stateful processing. It can also do stateless, but why not leave that to the technologies that are really good at it, like AWS Lambda, right? And so a colleague, Bill Bijek, put together a blog post and an associated demo that showcases this sort of pipeline. So using ksqlDB for what it's really good at, doing sort of stateful aggregations there, enrichment, whatever you need, and then having it put the result into Kafka, and that can be picked up by a Lambda function and do that sort of stateless processing one-off. So it's a pretty cool demo.
Is it something like also involves some sort of like connectors that can like integrate with some external systems? I know that you have a background on building like pipelines like this. You spoke about this, your previous experience before you joined Confluent and the Confluent Summit a lot. Tell us a little bit about the connectors architecture, what kind of role they play in this type of the use cases, like when you're building like serverless applications for Kafka.
Definitely. So again, if we want to be truly serverless and not have to deal with any of the stuff, because serverless really it's a buzzword that's like, someone else's server. There's still servers involved, right? But you want to like minimize the amount of infrastructure that you have to actually maintain and leverage on your side. So from the Connect side of things, again, the particular demo that we have going uses some Kafka connectors to, in this case, just generating data. So that sits at the beginning of the pipeline. So in the real world, that would be connecting out to maybe a relational database with user data would be a good example.
Or a device that reads the data about your plan, right?
Exactly, yes. So there are tons of connectors that are fully managed, available in Confluent Cloud. So you can stay pretty serverless in that case, right? You don't have to spin up those connectors on your machines. They run completely through the cloud, and then you can bring in that external data into Kafka. So those sit, pretty well in this demo at the beginning of the pipeline, and then at the end, you're free to, use another connector. In the demo that I just talked about today, I have a connector that pushes information out to Telegram to my phone, right? So you can have real-time alerts driven, and they'll be sent to your personal devices, which is pretty cool as well.
So in this show, I like to talk with my guests about the role of the APIs in this type of thing. So is this the things that we're talking about available through some sort of like API that allows us to bring the automation into the fold and implement things around the very popular concept of the GitOps, like when you have all this deployment and all these rollouts and all these things triggered by some sort of approval of PR of certain developer who put the things in place and did some changes in configuration. Is it still is it a thing that we can do with the Confluent Cloud?
Absolutely. It wouldn't be great if you couldn't do that, right? Yeah. Having it, being able to automate it and having it be scriptable is really important. So there are REST APIs to handle that. There's the Confluent CLI, so you can script it in Bash old school style if you really want to. But the REST API is pretty powerful. And then just from the GitOps side of things, I know we just had the newly released Terraform provider for Confluent.
Wow, that's nice. That's what's something that usually people use a lot.
Yeah. So that's coming out. I think it'll reach general availability. I cannot give a date. I don't really know for sure, but it's coming.
This podcast
it's coming.
Will be recorded probably. This will be
hopefully. Yeah, I really want to link to that because that's what everyone's excited about, right?
Yeah.
I just gave a talk in Melbourne at a DevOps conference about being able to script your HADR strategies, right, completely through Confluent. And while I didn't have the Terraform provider available and being able to do that, but you can still use the CLI and also the REST API to completely automate these things, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So as many listeners who watch our podcast on YouTube, this is the only right way to watch this. It's youtube.com/Konging. I'm asking my guests to demo some of the things. That's something that we decide to do when we start this Kongcast. That wouldn't it be cool if we will not only talking with our guests, but also ask them to show the technology that will be passionate. And today we're running this in conference, so we're not going to do this live. We're going to be using magic of movie editing, and we will bring the demo that Danica will show. And Danica, what you will be showing to our listeners? And,
I think the coolest thing that I could demo right now is that one that I was talking about, that demo that Bill Bijek had put together on serverless stream processing, right? It's really cool because, like I said, these are buzzwords, and I think it's really nice to see something tangible, to show a real functioning pipeline on that. So he has the demo available on GitHub right now.
Do not switch your channel at this moment. We will get back with the live demo.
All right, so in this demo, we're going to be showcasing two serverless technologies. We'll be using AWS Lambda together with Kafka and ksqlDB. So as we touched on earlier, ksqlDB is pretty great at stateful and stateless processing, but where it really excels is in the stateful processing realm. It easily allows you to set up stream processing applications that aggregate, window, and transform your data using simple SQL syntax. On the other hand, we have AWS Lambda that's perfect for stateless processing. So using the two in conjunction should offer you the best of both worlds, and that's what we're going to show you in this demo today. So we're going to start off by forking the Confluent Cloud serverless integration repository. This is a demo put together by my colleague, Bill Bijek. And this repository includes a fully functioning demo with all the resources that you need, but you do need to set up a couple of prerequisites. So you'll need to have Java 11, Gradle 7, JQ, have the Confluent Cloud CLI set up as well as the AWS CLI. And in addition, you'll need to have user accounts for Confluent Cloud as well as AWS. But once you have these tools installed and the accounts have been created, we still have to set up a couple of configurations to really kick things off. So first off, you'll have to make sure that you have AWS configure run so that your AWS CLI installation is set up properly. And you'll also need to make sure that you're logged into your Confluent Cloud account to take advantage of that serverless Kafka. And then to really hit the ground running, the demo takes care of all of the setup and heavy lifting. The first script that we'll be running is to set up all of the Confluent Cloud resources. So this is going to be creating your Kafka environment and your Confluent Cloud cluster through your Confluent Cloud account. It's going to be setting up an API key and secret and establishing some ACLs for us to use later on. After that, it will be creating a ksqlDB application. And from there, it will go ahead and create all of the Kafka topics that we'll be using throughout the course of the demo. And once all of those topics have been created, the script is going to go ahead and set up a couple of data generating Kafka connectors. So this is great so that you don't have to actually go ahead and try to create any dummy data. Everything's going to be handled for you through Confluent Cloud for the entire demo. And once the data is being produced into the Kafka topics, it's going to start executing some ksqlDB statements to register those streams of data, those Kafka topics within your ksqlDB application, and then joining those two data streams. So we'll be dealing with two data sets here, user data and also some like stock trade data, some financial data. So that ksqlDB application, like I said, is just going to be joining those two data streams and producing some more interesting information for us to use throughout the rest of the demo. And with the Confluent side of things taken care of, now we can focus on the AWS Lambda side of things. So first of all, we'll need to update one more configuration file and just pointing to the Bootstrap servers and defining the profile and region that we'll be using for AWS. Then from the project root, we're going to clean and build the project. And once that is done, we can run a second script, and this is going to kick off the creation of the AWS Lambda. You'll be asked to confirm whether or not you want to create these resources, and then it's going to set up an AWS Secrets Manager with the information to connect to Confluent Cloud. You're going to get an AWS role with the permissions needed for the Lambda to actually execute, and then it's going to set up the AWS instance. So we're going to take a quick look at the actual Lambda itself. So we've created a class stock record handler that implements the request handler. And this request handler will receive batches of, I think by default, 100 records via the handle request method. And it's within this method, specifically within the payload parameter that's being fed into this method, we can access the actual records, the Kafka records that we're using as triggers to the Lambda. And this records data set contains a mapping of topic partitions mapped to a list of Kafka records. So we access the events in that way. And these, of course, these records are the result of that join that we did between the user data and those trades data. And then, of course, we have this business logic. This is a demo toy application, so the business logic relies a lot on some random ints. But basically what we're doing here is we're using this Lambda as a sort of trade settlement indicator. So you can imagine we're trying to determine whether or not these trades would actually settle. And as a result of that, we are spitting out sort of a status, whether or not it's actually been settled, and if not, providing a reason for that. And at the end of this, it is producing that information back out to a Kafka topic. All right, then back in the terminal, we can actually check once this Lambda has been executed to see that the Lambda is successfully receiving these events and processing. These logs look good. So with that, we can go back into Confluent Cloud, and we're going to use this pretty cool tool for stream lineage to actually track the flow of data through this pipeline that we've created. Okay, so from this tool, we can see that we have our data generators writing data both into the stocks topic and that user topic. And you see the ksqlDB application that's actually conducting the join of these two data sets together and feeding that into another topic, which is then being consumed by our AWS Lambda instance we have on the right there. All right, so the pipeline is we're creating data, we're joining the data, we're letting it flow into the Lambda, but that's not it. So we've been doing a lot of stateless processing here, but I said that ksqlDB is really good at stateful processing. So we're going to run a third and final script to execute some additional ksqlDB statements that are going to kick off some more stateful analysis of the data that's flowing back into Kafka from the Lambda. So we have a couple queries that are basically going to distinguish the different statuses that we're getting back from the topic after the Lambda writes it back into Kafka. And we're going to conduct some windowed analysis on top of those. And then once we've executed those queries, we see a second stream within our stream lineage tool. And you can see here that we have our Lambda producer writing that data to a Kafka topic. And from there, we're splitting those out into separate topics and then conducting a windowed analysis on top of that. So I know that that was a relatively simple demo, but I really do think that it gives you a good jumping off point the next time you want to leverage serverless technologies in an upcoming data pipeline.
And now we're back from this live demo. Danica, thank you so much for showing this to us.
Yeah.
I think we can do like a few announcements. We'll try to release this before, so the people would be excited to know where they will see you next.
Yeah.
And what's as a developer advocate, we finally the world start open up, and we're getting back to meeting developers where they are in the conferences, in the conference rooms, if it's a customer meeting. So where our listeners and the viewers can meet you in person in the coming weeks, months, and not the years.
Years.
Yeah.
Man, I've got a whole list of places I want to go.
And me and Danica, we will be speaking in Valencia, Spain.
Yes.
We'll be talking about event-driven applications and the service meshes and Kafka and all these buzzwords that we're going to be. People love.
Those are the best talks,
Exactly.
I think. Yeah. No, we're gonna hopefully we can draw a crowd. It'll be great to see everyone come out, and yeah, I'm excited to give a talk with you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wonderful.
That's great.
It's gonna be so good.
And I'm excited that you found the time in your schedule to be together with me on the Kongcast.
Yeah.
It was really great to catch up and learning some of the cool things that you do in there. Wish you good luck. And usually asking some question about like unrelated to technology at the end.
Yeah.
Maybe what's any books that you recently read that you can recommend to our listeners?
Oh my goodness. So I recently. That's a great question. That's such a good question.
Thank you. That's right.
I recently got back into reading fiction. I don't usually read fiction books. I try to just stick with nonfiction, so I feel like I learned something.
Yeah.
But it's probably one of the best pieces of fiction that I've read in probably my entire life. A Gentleman in Moscow by Immortals.
Yeah, I heard that
so good.
one of my favorite directors is working on the adaptation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's something to look forward to.
I was just like, he was Hercule Poirot in the recent two the Poirot movies. Kenneth Branagh.
Okay.
He will be showrunner for this kind of like a limited show.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
I'm also looking forward to it.
That's something to look forward to. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right.
But great book.
Danica, thank you so much for being a part of the Kongcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes.
It's been great.
My name is Gamov, and as always, have a nice day.